What do we need to know about the neuroscience of making habit setting more easy? I imagine that there must be some really interesting...
Oh, man. Your ability to focus right now is strongly driven by the inputs you received in the preceding hours and even days. So one of the things that's really interesting about focus and attention, and a lot of habits have to do with, I don't want to procrastinate, I want to do this. We can talk about exercise, but let's talk about cognitive stuff. It's very, very clear that if you have a hard time getting into a bout of work or even staying focused, there's a very good chance, I believe, that your breaks between work and what you were doing before work was too stimulating. I'm a big advocate for boring breaks, and I'm a big advocate for silence before and after bouts of work for a couple of reasons. Let's say you're trying to learn something or read a book or just do something that you're not reflexively doing. You want to create this habit. It's very clear that neuroplasticity, yes, requires alertness, requires focus. You need sleep later that night. I've been beating that drum for a number of years. Actually being able to focus, sitting down to do work or to learn something or prepare a podcast. It is so important that you limit the number of sensory inputs coming in, not just during that event, but before. Because the sensory stimulus that kind of sets off this cascade of layering in more and more sensory memories and understanding is begun before you sit down to read your book. This is why you read a portion of a book and then you're like, oh wait, I wasn't even paying attention. Your brain is still working with the sensory inputs from before. It's not thinking about them consciously. So this is vitally important. If you go back and you look at the history of attention and thinking, and you can find these incredible pictures that they would give kids who had trouble, probably had ADHD or just kind of rambunctious boys in most cases, and they literally gave them helmets with 2 eye holes so they couldn't look at anything else.
Like
they couldn't
blinkers
hear anyone else. Right. Used to be, kid with the hoodie on and the cap, and you'd write. Now, what have we done? The challenge is that we've brought an infinite number of sensory experiences into the thing that you're looking at.
Oh, wow.
So we brought all the sensory inputs through the device that you're holding.
So the narrowing of your perspective hasn't helped you to narrow the distractions.
That's right. Cognitive space is still infinite, even though the spatial limitation of where you're placing your attention is very restricted. So the fact that you have so many competing thoughts has everything to do with that. And it also has everything to do with what you were doing in the 10 or 15 minutes before you sat down to try to work. One thing that I've been doing before I prepare any work is I try and make myself as bored as possible. I try and remove as much sensory input as possible. I might think about my breathing because it's hard to not think about anything. I really have started to limit the amount of sensory information coming into my